Megamind is better than you remember, and here's why. Hey there, this is your man Too Much Time on His Hands, Doodlemite here with another video. And today I want to talk about the glorious film that is Megamind.
Megamind, incredibly handsome criminal genius and master of all villainy.
And mainly it's because of the fact that this movie was so ahead of its time. They put in so much dedication, and it got beat out of by Despicable Me. Good movie, but in my opinion, I think this is better. And I just want to talk about why I love this film so much, and what stuff I didn't know as a kid that later on you look back and I'm like, oh my god, I see what they were doing, and that's for the adults who watch with their kids. I'm like, dang. Because, okay, as a kid, I didn't know anything about the tropes that they would play with or the things they would make fun of. But as a kid, those were just things that were happening in the film. But getting older, it became something different. It became a fun poke at these characters and the trope. But you know why I love this movie so much too? It doesn't treat it like trash. It doesn't make fun in like the worst way. It actually has fun with the material. It says, yes, we are aware of how goofy superheroes are, but they do it in a way where it's fun and engaging. Unlike in like The Boys and Watchmen and like shows like that or movies. I'm not really a fan of when things get too cynical to the point where like you're just watching power for the sake of power with no actual substance. And what's interesting about this film is it got beat out by me, but I feel like it has so much to it. It was ahead of its time for it. Because a lot of the tropes that they have in this film are things that weren't really considered mainstream. They were more for comic people if you really think about it. The tropes were in certain films, but they weren't as popular. Yes, we had Iron Man out already. We had the Hulk out. But I think that's about it. We didn't get the Avengers yet. It wasn't that big yet of superhero knowledge. Like, the tropes weren't there. Yes, we had Christopher Reeve's Superman. Yes, we had some of Batman. But that's about it. And I know this is more of a parallel to Superman stuff than it really is to any superhero. But they still have, like, things like gadgets for Batman. You know, the story. Everything. And the fact that the way that they're able to poke fun, like, I'm going to point some out. The joke about how he gets into Earth. They do a whole little, like, arc for him of not knowing what his destiny is. Even though it's clearly shown in the film itself from when he's in his little tube, his little spaceship, his parents are about to say, you're destined for greatness, like most parents would say to their kids. But again, he doesn't hear it, and so he gets shot up in space. But it's funny because it's like, this implies in their world, they're supposed to move out by their babies, or at least that's what he thinks that the world is supposed to be, because I don't think Megamind got any, like, indication of how his family was, because we don't see him talking to his dead family. We just see that what he thinks his parents would want, because of what happened when he was getting older. He was bullied, he was ridiculed, he was literally raised in a freaking prison. He was taught right was wrong and wrong was right. And he still ended up somewhat okay in the sense that he still was a supervillain that was trying to kill the superhero. And then there's Megamind, who is technically the unspoken hero villain, if that makes sense. Like, he doesn't do anything as a bad guy, but it points out something that most hero stories don't really do, which is that what if you do gain abilities? What if you are born with abilities and you don't want to do anything with them? What if you just want to live your life?
Each and every citizen of Metro had something I didn't. A choice. Ever since I can remember, I've always had to be what the city wanted me to be. But what about what I wanted to do? Then it suddenly hit me. I do have a choice. I can be whatever I want to be. No one said this hero thing had to be a lifetime gig.
Yeah, he loves the fame. That's probably why he became a hero. He probably loves the attention because that's who he was raised by. Nature versus nurture. He was raised by people who just loved him conditionally with no added things. Like, his mom in this time always like, I love you so much. And the dad looks so dismissive. So I don't think they really had ever told him no. So when he got older, everyone just saw that he has superpowers as a kid and said, you become our superhero. No question at all. You have to be our hero. And he never got a choice in that. So they point that out in this film, this 2010 film, that what if someone with abilities doesn't want to be a superhero? Is that selfish? Of course it is, because he has the ability to save people, and he chooses to fake his death to avoid that. And they point that out, that he's being selfish.
How did you do this? people of the city relied on you and you deserted them. You left us in the hands of him. No offense.
No, I'm with you.
And that the villain has to rise up to be a hero because of his own mistake. He wanted to stay the villain because he was comfortable with that. He was comfortable with the fact that this was his entire life. Everyone expected him to be a bad guy, so he became that bad guy. But he would do it with fun. They had fun. The way they portrayed Megamind and Metro Man with their fighting styles and like how they would fight is like two brothers basically bickering or they're playing along.
In case you haven't noticed, you've fallen right into my trap.
You can't trap justice. It's an idea, a belief.
Even the most heartfelt belief can be corroded over time.
Justice is a non-corrosive metal.
But metals can be melted by the heat of revenge.
It's revenge, and it's best served cold.
But it can be easily reheated in the microwave of evil.
Well, I think your warranty is about to expire.
Maybe I got an extended warranty.
Warranties are invalid if you don't use the product for its intended purpose.
Oh, girls, you're both pretty. Can I go home now?
Like when Titans introduced an actual bad guy, someone who was literally an incel, someone who just expected what he got for being nice. If he didn't get what he wanted as a nice person, then what's the point of being nice? And then they have Roxanne Ritchie, which is supposed to be like the Lois Lane architect, being done with all the BS of being kidnapped, and she just used to that. And you know why I find this funny? Because it shows that Megamind didn't even really harm her in reality, because even though he showed off all these like excessive ways of how he could hurt her, nothing ever happened. She's just kind of like, oh, this is the thing. So it shows that he never really wanted to be a bad guy. But then when Titan, Hal Stewart, love that name, parallel to Hal Jordan and John Stewart, Green Lanterns, when he gets the abilities and he ends up being a bad guy, even when Megamind was trying to teach him how to be a good guy, trying to be a good guy himself, because he was trying to impress her, because Megamind realized that after killing the hero, he had to have a disguise. He had to hide who he is as a person. He couldn't just reveal that, hey, this is me, because I literally ended a hero's life. But when he found actual positivity and goodness from someone who's treating him like a human being, in the sense, like, like a good person, he doesn't want to be a bad guy. He was actually shown kindness. He was shown respect, honesty, being loved, basically, by basically the person he kidnapped so much, which is still weird in my case. So the fact that makes him want to be a good person, realizes that he has morals, even the nature versus nurture thing. What is it going on here? Megamind was nurtured to be a bad guy. Metro Man was nurtured to be a superhero, but like a narcissist superhero. Like, even his costume is supposed to be like Elvis. Like, like it's very showy. And then there's Minion. I know he doesn't really get that much like to say, because he's supposed to be like the minion of Megamind. And Megamind has other robots that he makes. Like, Megamind is also a genius. But Minion is basically his caretaker. And because Minion was basically also, I think, like a baby when Megamind was a baby, he doesn't even know what he wants. But he's trying to take care of Megamind. And Megamind, after a while, just doesn't want him. But the way their interactions is so beautiful. Because they act like actual family.
Now, back to laughing.
When then there's someone like Metro Man at the end, he just wants to be left alone. He doesn't want any of that. And Megamind has to learn to be a hero himself. And I want to explain one thing that I find really fascinating. In that moment when Megamind says he doesn't want to be a hero anymore, he says he wants to go home. But you know where that home is to him? The prison. It's not like his lair where he gets all these tools and all that stuff. No, it's where he knows home is, where he's been so often. Because he's been in prison since he was basically a baby. He wasn't given that choice. Which is also really weird to think about, because, yes, he also broke out of the prison as a baby, but then he was also put back into it. That still finds so super strange to me in general. But they bring in all these tropes and stereotypes and puts it in a blender and mixes it all together. The villain becomes a hero, and the hero secludes himself. The supposedly hero's journey for someone else becomes the villain. He doesn't become a hero, the villain becomes the hero because of his own mistakes. But there's one thing I want to say. One thing that I love this film. I love this film so much. It revolutionized the idea of superheroes and the jokes about him. At the end, they make Megamind the hero of Metrocity, or I guess Metro City, how it's actually said. I like Metrocity better. But I don't think it was ever revealed that Metro Man was alive. Like, yes, they showed that little teaser that says, like, sorry, my friend, which is a parallel to the beginning of the film where one of Megamind's robots show up. But no. The guy didn't seem to recognize him, so do people probably still think that their best favorite hero is dead, and then just appoint this hero who was originally a villain for probably most of those people's lives is now just the purpose in the same thing, just because they stopped them from like a lunatic, ending them all. And I get it, but still, it's like saying a war criminal gets leniency and becomes a hero because he stopped a terrorist or something, if that makes sense. Weird ending, but I get what they're doing. I think it would have just been better if they realized that Metro Man was alive, and then like they'd say that he's disowned because he literally did not want to be a hero. Still his choice, but makes sense. By the way that was shown of how Megamind and Metro Man talk, probably Metro Man knew that Megamind wasn't trying to be a hero, because in that sentence when he says,
You know, little buddy, there's a yin for every yang. If there's bad, good will rise up against it. It's taken me a long time to find my calling. Now it's about time you find yours.
That means he genuinely cared about this person. The way they talked to each other was like siblings. It's so sweet, even then. But this movie never forgets to have fun with itself. It takes tropes that they have. They joke about like games, comics, shows, movies, and they have fun with all that. This movie was just so amazing as a kid, and it gets better the more you watch it. So, yeah. What did you think about this film? Did you like Megamind? Did this movie change your perception of time? Or did you just kind of think this movie was okay, and you thought that Despicable Me was better? And I would like to know that stuff in the comments down below. I read all your comments, and I'll respond to most of them, if you're respectful. And if you like this video, please, like it. And if you want to see more of these videos, please subscribe and then hit the notification bell so you can actually get notified when they actually come out. And if you want to be more involved in my videos, I make polls and posts of random stuff, and if you want to say hi or just want to talk a little bit in there, that's fine. I actually like the community here. Thank you so much for everyone who watches my stuff. I appreciate that so much. But yeah, this has been Dynamite, and I hope to see everyone in the next video. This is the true Megamind sequel we deserve, not whatever that new thing is. Ugh. And today, I like to talk about Megamind, the Button of Doom. Now, for you, those of you who do not know what this is, this was a little short film thing of the first movie to see what's he's kind of doing nowadays as a hero. And I actually want to thank all the commenters on my last video on what I was thinking about the new Megamind sequel. For people telling me about the Button of Doom. I honestly forgot that it even existed, because I only watched it when I was very little on the TV a couple times, and I'm like, this feels so good. It felt like a fever dream because of how long it was. And the fact that I'd only watched it a few times. So when people kept commenting, I'm like, what is the Button of Doom? So I looked it up and I actually watched it. I'm like, this thing is amazing. And even for the short amount of time, because this thing is around only like 16 minutes, it is so good, and it matches the aesthetic of the first mill while also adding upon the complexity of the first one. May not look like it when you first watch it, which I thought of it as a kid, because when I wanted to see more of it, but I didn't really understand it. Because, yes, it actually has Will Ferrell as Megamind in here, and David Cross as Minion.
Way ahead of you, Minion. What are you wearing? My new super secret superhero supersuit.
Which, every time I actually look at David Cross's face, I can't see him other than the bad guy from Alvin and Chipmunks.
I told you, Dave. I never lose.
But other than that, those are the only actual people in this movie. It doesn't have any of the extended cast, like Tina Fey as Roxanne Ritchie.
Would it kill you to wash the bag?
And I don't think it has any of the other people. Ironically, even with less people, it still felt like a Megamind movie, even with a short runtime. What I mean by that, it still feels like the second one, is it still kind of uses the whole don't judge a book by its cover, and it also adds a new lesson of just because you're becoming a different person does not mean you have to completely take away everything that made you, if that makes sense. Because what I love about this story is the fact that Megamind, he's a hero now. He's actually trying to do heroic thing. He is not, being cowardice. He's not being, gonna hide from people, as the new one is showing. No, he's actually wanting to fight crime, but because he's now the hero, he wants to actually do it in the right way. He doesn't want to do it in his villainous ways. So you know what he decides to do? He basically decides to have a evil garage sale, basically, which is hilarious. Because he wants to be a hero like how Metro Man was. So he decides to sell all his invention, which was funny because they could not sell because they were really expensive, which kind of makes sense because, his weapons are probably very expensive.
Is there some kind of nerdy supervillain website where you get Tesla coils and blinky dials?
Actually, most of it comes from an outlet store.
Don't answer that.
but he kind of just discounts them to extremely low degrees, which is hilarious. And then everyone sells them. This is what this is what I find really cool. He finds this button of doom, and he press it on accident, and they don't even know what it's going to be. Oh, turns out it's a giant robot that he made to fight Metro Man years back. And it's like Megamind in his enormous narcissistic self as this giant monster, which is very nice, to be honest. And Megamind, because he sold all this stuff, he actually made a suit that emulates Metro Man's powers while also having some of the color scheme, which is so cool. I'm not gonna lie, that thing is actually clean as hell. But he puts that on to try to fight his robotic self, because this is just Megamind. The giant robot, that's him, but just in a giant form, because he even acts like himself from the original movie. And then you can actually tell the difference between how they act as hero Megamind and villain Megamind.
Well, I am Defender of Metrocity now. This is the perfect time for me to debut my super suit. This can crawl, but you can't hide. Talk about a crushing defeat. The old evil me is so annoying.
So cool. And Megamind tries his darnest to try to fight his, evil self, which I love the parallel to that of, having to destroy your original self to become a new person, which is kind of a cool idea. And he tries using all the abilities of Metro Man, which is hilarious. He basically recreated the abilities Metro Man had in tech form, which I have a question about that. Why does he have to have that if, he still had the actual gun that allowed people to have Metro Man's powers? Was that because he absorbed it? He didn't just, what happened? Because again, he's using technology to emulate Metro Man's powers. I'm just confused with that, but even then it still works. And he tries so hard to fight Megamind, which I think that's what he's called it, and it's not working. So he decides, you know what? I need my evil inventions to stop myself, basically. So he basically has this giant spider thing, like an evil spider robot that Minion kept because, still very sentimental. It's cute. And he basically uses that as a way to defeat the robot. But I love how they have kind of little callbacks to the original movie, because they go back to the observatory that basically got destroyed from the first movie. And then, of course, it has his lair there. But he basically destroys the robot in the most Megamind way possible by using his evil inventions in the good of mankind, which is kind of an extension to how we saw it in the first movie of when Megamind had to save Roxanne from Titan with his evil inventions, because that's what he had, basically, which I just think is so cool. And I love the lesson behind this short film, that you don't have to destroy every part of yourself to become a better person. You can still be you while also changing to become better. That's what type of thing I realized, because that's what kind of happens in the end of this film.
The new me is an utter failure.
Well, it's clear you're no Metro Man.
I know I'm not Metro Man.
I just mean, maybe you should stop trying to be him and just be you.
Really? Is that possible?
And also, people who are complaining that Megamind has a symbol, like the Batman symbol, for the newer films, I really suck that these are newer films. He technically got that in this film, which I actually love so much. I'm like, why does that look so familiar? And I saw that for the new Megamind stuff. And I was like, oh, that's why it was in this movie. And I think this did it way better. This was so fun to look back on. Because of the new stuff for Megamind, it really upsets me because, that's not how Megamind even acts or how his world even works. So this short film that only had 16 minutes was able to encapsulate all of what we love Megamind in this amount of time, which is so good. So what I like to do is pretend that the new stuff for Megamind does not exist. That is nowhere to be seen in my mind. It goes from Megamind to Megamind, the Button of Doom. And that's what we got there. We got from Megamind. And again, I want to thank everyone who commented on my last Megamind video for this specific video, because again, I forgot it existed, and it's actually very nice to look back on. And yes, I know this is a shorter video than the ones I usually make, but it's mainly because, again, this movie, short film was very, short. It was only 16 minutes. I couldn't talk about it too much unless I went into very nitpicky territory. And even then, it's not too much to nitpick. I kind of basically just put the parallels between him nowadays as a hero to him as in his older days as being a supervillain instead. That's kind of like the only real thing I could nitpick about this, but it's just fun to see more of the original Megamind. And again, I almost forgot that this still has the CGI from the original movie, So it makes it like 10 times better already. It doesn't feel like a video game, which ironically the video game of Megamind was better than whatever the new stuff is. Jesus. But those are just my thoughts on the Megamind Button of Doom short film. What do you think? Are you one of the people who commented on that video helping me find it? Are you one of the people who just found the video and was like, oh, you missed this character? Or are you someone who didn't even like the film at all? Or did you even know this thing exists in the first place? Let me know in the comments down below. And if there's nothing else, I hope everyone stays nerdy. And this has been Dunamite, and I hope to see everyone in the next video.